you can skip the intro. If you've played Okami before, you'll know it's a slow starter, and even if you haven't, you may well have heard as much. Essentially, it's 15 minutes or so of blissfully unhurried scene setting, literally unfurling across a paper scroll that seems to stretch on forever. Yet the languid storytelling is a patience test in a very real sense. If you can sit through it without fidgeting too much, then you're perfectly qualified for the sweeping, serenely paced saga that follows. At the risk of invoking Alan Partridge, Okami is a deep bath of a game, an adventure to sink into and luxuriate in. It's not a game you can play in bite-sized pieces, but rather one to clear long evenings and weekends for, to stock up on snacks and drinks and settle down with for the duration. It's arguably indulgent to a fault. You'll probably be ready for it to be over comfortably before it actually ends, but in a way that's in keeping with the game's generosity of spirit. If in the end it gives you a bit too much, surely that's better than not enough. And goodness, it's still beautiful. The HD treatment means it looks a little crisper than the soft focus original, but it mostly serves as a reminder that gorgeous, distinctive art design will always outlast attempts at photorealism. This folkloric vision of Nippon is a world of thick, inky lines and great washes of color. At first, however, they're murky and muted. The land has been blighted by the return of an ancient demon, and, as a white wolf inspirited by the sun goddess Amaterasu, you're asked to sort things out and restore Nippon to its former glory. The results of your efforts are so joyous you'll want to clear up every last bit of malingering evil. With the help of a divine brush, you can physically paint over the bad stuff. Bold strokes and swirls of ink produce cascades of cherry blossoms and rushing waves of blooms that race across the ground like an unstoppable wave. The camera struggling to keep pace as tainted territory suddenly flourishes with new life. On PC, Okami feels similarly refreshed, with mouse controls proving a perfect fit for Amaterasu Celestial Brush. On PC, Okami feels similarly refreshed, with mouse controls proving a perfect fit for Amaterasu Celestial Brush. Stretch your pinky down to the CTRL key and you'll pull up a piece of parchment. Click the left button to press the bristles against it, and then you can easily sweep it across or around, or in graceful loops. Or, if you're me, an awkward, lumpy approximation of a loop, the kind that would cause Sonic the Hedgehog a serious injury were he to attempt to speed around it. It can be fussy when it comes to recognizing your doubtings, actually. It's doubly annoying when your insect-sized ally chides you when you've done the right thing, but not quite precisely enough for the game's liking. But it's forgiving enough that mistakes are rarely costly. Using WASD for movement is an acceptable trade-off. There's controller support here, but drawing doesn't feel nearly as intuitive with a pad. The real benefits come during combat, where the immediacy of the brush controls means you can call upon its specific powers much more often. An ink meter ensures you can't just use it for every attack, but it's more fun to mix things up anyway. With two of a steadily growing range of celestial weapons bound to each mouse button, you can whip enemies with a close-range melee attack to send them sprawling, before following up with a volley of fire from range and then pulling out the brush to cleave them in two as a final flourish. If you're more of an explorer than a fighter, don't worry. Combat is rarely a roadblock, and many encounters are optional. Sure, some opponents require specific techniques to defeat. One beast requires you to wear it down before it collapses, ready for its protective shell to be opened up with your key.